Hello, welcome to the Manic Pixie Dream Podcast. I'm your host, Caroline Georges, and this is going to be my first vlog, my first person to you video episode. And I'm not a smoker, but it's been kind of a weird time in my life, and I've just been kind of attracted to cigarettes again for some reason. I started smoking really young, actually. I think I started smoking, I had my first cigarette before I was 10 years old. Well, I didn't actually smoke it, I just kind of like lit it, and I lit it like this, like away from, I didn't really know how to go about it, and I took a pack of Camel filters from my grandmother's closet, because she used to babysit me, and she would have a closet full of cigarettes, and I just took them. I took a pack, and I just and I tried it, and I coughed, and but that's stupid. But I started smoking around when I was a teenager, I guess my early teens, and I used to go on walks. I was living with my mom, and I just needed to get out of the house, and it was always an excuse to leave, and it was always an excuse to just go and to go walk around and just to be by myself and to think and relax, and I started doing that. It's like 13. I wasn't happy at home, and I felt really lost. And I thought, I always felt like a failure whenever people were unhappy. And and that feeling of feeling like a failure when people were unhappy really always stayed with me. And it stayed with me in my relationships. And every time a guy would break up with me or reject me or treat me badly, it made me feel like a failure. And I named this podcast the Manic Pixie Dream Podcast because I don't want to sound vain or anything, but I developed a sense of humor, and I really liked making people laugh, and I really liked making guys laugh and boys laugh. And there's this meme that I think really describes me to a T, and that was there's like this girl, and she's like likes meeting cute guys and then dislikes not being around cute guys, and I think that's totally me. I'm happy when I'm around cute guys, and I'm unhappy when I'm not around cute guys. And I haven't dated since, or I haven't really I haven't had sex since I think last summer, and when I had sex, it was with a guy who I didn't like that much, but and it was bad. It sucked. It was bad sex, and bad sex, afterwards you feel really used, you feel dirty, and you feel gross, and you have resentment towards the guy who you had bad sex with and stuff, and that was yeah, and he was just and it was just it's very disenchanting. And I think that's when you're disenchanted from someone, when you're enchanted, I guess, by it's like feels like dying, feels like a little part of you dies. I was sexually assaulted, I guess, and that doesn't matter as much because I'm a stripper, and I get sexually assaulted all the time. Women who work in the sex industry get sexually assaulted all the time, and it's like when you're sitting in the principal's office, with your manager, and they're telling you need to get a thicker skin and not freak out whenever some guy sexually assaults you at work. That's just, you take that outside of work, and I think a lot of other guys take that outside of work too, and think that you're just kind of like this dumpster for abuse, and it becomes normal. It's all normal. Shit that never be normal. Shit that should never be normal, it becomes normal. Sexual assault and abuse becomes normal. So many women think it's normal, even when they don't, even if they haven't experienced it themselves. It seems. I decided I did this podcast because I decided I had a voice that was unique to me, that was independent of other people, that wasn't there to please other people. But I don't know. Do you ever just you just don't know? Because everyone has some kind of X-ray vision that they can see through things. They can see in the dark with. And I guess I thought I had a unique X-ray vision, I suppose, because of my experiences working in the sex industry. And it didn't, and I'm so angry, and I should be angry. I should be angry that women being taken up to Harvey Weinstein's hotel room was normal, and that that was a normal thing. Cigarette went out. It was a normal thing. Everyone thought it was normal, and everyone accepted it as normal. And then it got revealed that that's not normal. It's not normal that girls get escorted to a hotel room. And, it's not normal that Bill Cosby was putting drugs into women's drink. That shit wasn't normal. And it always seemed like it needed to be a man that did something for something to happen. And maybe that's true, because maybe I thought that was true, because I want to be rescued. I want to be saved. And I think, and maybe that's not normal to want that. And I'm so angry. I'm so angry at abuse that has occurred in my life, and I'm so angry at abuse that occurs in everyday life. And I don't know what to do. And I think that I'm doing everything that I can. And I'm going crazy under the weight of it. I'm absolutely going crazy under the weight of this. But I have to, one thing I was thinking about with doing this podcast is I have to be so grateful and so thankful to all the women out there who aren't strong enough to overcome their abuse, enough to do a podcast themselves. Because I don't have to compete with them. I don't have to compete with brilliant women with insights and knowledge and charisma that can do a podcast if they wanted to. Because they're not going to do a podcast. Because they don't think that they're good enough. Because they got fucking raped. That's what rape does. It makes it... You are tattooed with you are not fucking good enough. You are a body. You are a nothing. And you just need to deal with it. And you just need to accept it. You need to see your place in the world and just be there forever. And I'm there. And God, like, it's so annoying. Like, I know it's like, maybe like the worst word to use for this, but it is. It's annoying. I wish I didn't have to live with this. And I constantly think about the person I would have been if I had never been abused. And I know that I would have never been a stripper. It would have never happened. I would have never tried stripping if I hadn't been abused. And I know from every woman I've worked with, abuse is the common denominator for a woman being able to work in the sex industry. She's had to experience some kind of abuse in order to make the sex industry work for her. You're never going to meet a woman who just, woke up one day and was like, maybe I'll be a stripper. It sounds like fun. They try it for a day and they're gone. And that's, I remember working a shift at Deja Vu, and these two girls came in, and like they auditioned, and they were in the dressing room, and I said hi to them, and then they said, they had been taking pole dancing classes, and it was just something fun that they wanted to do that day. They just wanted to try stripping, and I was like, okay, like, have a great time. I hope you really have. And I was like, I wonder where this is going. Like, I wonder how this is going to work out for them. And they performed on stage. They were both very good on stage, like, and they made money on stage. And then when they, they left early, they actually, did lap dances and stuff. And they cashed out, and they left early, and they had the looks on their faces like it was cold as stone. They just looked like they had been fucking raped. They looked like they had just been raped. I know I'm not laughing at like, but I mean, it was yeah, that was, I don't know. I don't have anything to say about that except for this isn't a job women do for fun. This is a job women do for survival. You strip with a world to survive. And there was this girl who I really like, and she's really young, and I'm working with her now, and she's about 19. And she gave this 35-year-old woman a lap dance, and the woman was very drunk, and it was her birthday, and she was there celebrating. And this woman sexually assaulted this 19-year-old girl. Sorry. She sexually assaulted her. She, during the lap dance. And this girl just accepted it and was just like that woman made me feel fucking nasty. And it's like, well, yeah, because she sexually assaulted you. And, yeah, I don't know what to think about all that. I just don't know. I mean, I don't see it. I don't see it. I just don't see. I don't see this. I don't see how this works. I don't see how this all exists in this world. But it does. 35-year-old women go to strip clubs to celebrate their birthday, and they celebrate themselves and on the day that they were born by making a 19-year-old girl feel nasty. And it makes me angry. And I'm not a violent person, but like, get me alone in a room with that woman, please. I would rip her to fucking shreds for making a 19-year-old girl feel nasty. Because women should not be doing that to other women, and 35-year-old women should not be doing that to 19-year-old girls. It's not normal. I'm just feeling really sad right now. I feel but there are, I don't know, like I was sexually assaulted by one of my guests. He came over saying he just wanted to hang out, and I vetted him. I made sure that that's what he wanted to do. He just wanted to hang out. I vetted him with a text message. As long as we're just friends, as long as we're just going to hang out, that's fine. I vetted him over the phone. You know that nothing's going to happen and everything is fine and that we're just friends. As long as that's cool, then I'm okay with you coming over. He was like, yeah. Of course. All yes. And and I should have been safe. I should have been safe with that man, and that man should have protected me from himself, because that's what men do. That's what good men are supposed to do. Good men are supposed to protect women. And this man should have protected me by not coming over. And this man should have protected me by knowing himself better. But he didn't. And he made me feel fucking disgusting. And I'm still feeling that because he was my friend. And he wasn't a stranger. And he was somebody who knew me. And I'm so desperate for a connection that I will connect with people before realizing who they are. And so, yeah. He is the kind of person who preys upon people that he knows are weak, and he knew I was weak. And he took advantage of that. And I felt really hopeless that if somebody who knew me knew my abuse and a friend could do this to me, then my world shattered. When I was raped, his name is Jay Litke, and I'm not I mean, you can't, I'm not gonna not say his name. His name is Jay Litke. JayLitke. Jay Litke. And he said I could sleep in his bed when I was so drunk that my skin hurt. And God, why did that happen? I always ask that question. I'm constantly asking that question. Why did that have to happen? It was one night. It was one night where just something didn't have to happen for me to have been okay. But it did. It happened. And I woke up with him on top of me, and I was in pain. My skin hurt. I was trying not to throw up, and I think I did throw up. Or I had, it was just, I don't remember. That's the problem. You don't remember everything. It happens really fast, and you don't remember everything. And I think if you don't remember everything, then you start to doubt yourself. And I didn't know I was raped after it happened. And I thought because I was in his bed and because I was drunk, and there was he had a right, or I don't know. And I thought he was kind of cute and stuff. And so, I mean, it wasn't like I wouldn't have slept with him consensually at a different time. And so, I mean, if he had just waited, played his cards right, I mean, we would have had maybe something consensual would have happened. But that never did happen because he decided to rape me. I wasn't a stripper when he raped me. And so I told my friend Kari. And, well, it was 3 days later, and I was working at this coffee shop, and I was at the sink washing dishes. And I stopped, and I disassociated, and I started thinking about being raped, and I started thinking about that night that happened a few days before. And I just like that. And I don't know how long I stood there for, but my blood was boiling. I was bright red, and my blood was boiling. I was like overheating or something like that. That's what I remember. And I told Kari, and then she said, "Caroline, you were raped." And I wish I did everything right. I wish I had gone to the police. I wish I reported it. I wish I had screamed and cried and did everything right. But I didn't. And so I was at my stepbrother's apartment, and he was there, and I was just trying to act like it was normal until I couldn't take it, and I got up and I just left. And I didn't confront my stepbrother about it. I mean, he knew, and I love my stepbrothers so much, and that they were sort of a part of that in the way that they were connected to him in the way that they were, and that they never broke that connection with him after they knew. Just made me feel really insignificant. and then Trump was elected president, and one of my stepbrothers posted something on Facebook where it's like, you elected a rapist. Republicans elected a rapist, or whatever. You know, fair enough. This country, I mean, Donald Trump is probably, I mean, like, okay, like, he's a rapist, dude. Like, look at him. Like, sorry. And so I was like, I was dealing with the fact, okay, like, a rapist is our president, and this is somehow not your doing. This is somehow nothing you're involved in doing. That was a rhetorical question, because and I confronted my stepbrother, and I said, how about this? Why don't you go and find Jay Litke and beat his ass? Why don't you go and kill Jay Litke for what he did to me? If rape is so awful and egregious and disgusting to you, then why was that piece of shit your roommate? Why did you live with that piece of shit? And why wasn't I allowed to go over to your apartment? I mean, I was allowed, but why was I ostracized from your home? And why did our relationship end? Again, I just want to say to the women out there that have been raped and just couldn't make it, who weren't strong enough to make their lives happen for them, to make their dreams happen for them, to pursue their dreams. Thank you. You being raped actually serves me. I don't have to deal with you. I don't have to compete with you. Because that should happen to you. You're out of the picture. If I were an actress, I wouldn't have to audition against you for a role. And if I, you know, in a way, women who are raped and aren't strong enough to survive it, it actually serves other women in a way, in a fucked up way. But I know that's really dark. I developed a sense of humor because it served me with men. And I developed a personality because it served me with men. And that makes me a manic pixie dream girl. Because any gifts that I have, if I have them, any specialness I have, if I have them, is only matters if it's appreciated by men. And I dated this guy who I really liked, and I thought we were going to get married. And I thought he was like, I wanted us to get married, and and then he raped me in our relationship. There was, which is so so confusing. It was so confusing. And afterwards, I got up and I was like, I'm gonna go take a shower. Do you want to take a shower with me? I was I asked him if he wanted to take a shower with me, and like it was normal, like it was all normal. And he said no. So I went and I showered by myself, and which, don't ever do that. If you are raped and you know you are raped, that shower is gonna look so fucking good to you. That shower, nothing will look better than that fucking shower. But get your ass to a hospital. Get your ass to a hospital and get a rape kit. Don't shower. That's evidence. You take that shower, you're done for. You have no evidence. And it's all he said, she said. Because that's the law, and that's how the laws fail women, I guess. Then the next morning we went out to breakfast, and I was really irritable. Of course, I was pissed off. I was angry about what happened. And God, it was just I don't even want to get into what happened. But he went crazy. Like it was crazy. It was so bad. It was it was bad at breakfast. It was bad there. And then we were in the car and we were driving back to his place, and he was screaming at me, and he was telling me, I was calling me names. And I had all my stuff at his place, and I just had to I just had to get my stuff, and I had to leave, and I'm so angry. I'm so angry. And I'm still angry, and it's unattractive. It's not pretty. It makes me a bad person. It makes me feel like a bad person. And so it's just like, what do I do? What do I do with all this anger? I pray all the time that it goes away, and that I can just be this loving, forgiving angel. And know that this man, his father died when he was a little boy, and he was raised by a single mother, and he was in the military, and he had to, and he saw horrible things when he was in the military, and all of these things. He was a human being, and he cared about me in a way. I mean, it felt like he loved me. It felt like he cared about me. It was... And, but, if I go to his Instagram, he has all that money, he has all those girls and stuff, and it was, me being funny, and me being charming, and me being smart, and me being beautiful did not stop him from doing that to me, and then throwing me out like I was nothing. So what does it matter that I'm funny, or that I'm smart, or that I have a personality, or that I'm beautiful, if I'm just going to get thrown out? Sorry. How many of you out there aren't living the life you want because you were raped? I want to know how many of you are out there who gave up everything, because had to give up everything because you were raped. How many of you will I never meet and will I never encounter on my path and on this journey because you were raped? I'm sure there's so many of you out there doing drugs, drinking, fucking up your life because you were raped. I want you to know I don't judge you, and that I know you and I see you, that you are good, and that the anger you feel that makes you feel so disgusting is valid. And there's positive places you can put it into. I think volunteering. I know I've gotten a lot of healing from volunteering. I've felt a lot of my value from volunteering and from helping people. And the Bible says that when you do something good, you're not supposed to talk about it. Because if you talk about it, you make the good things you do of the world and not holy. And there's a lot of virtue signaling that happens. And I think that's exactly what virtue signaling is. You're making the good shit you do of the world, and it's no longer pure and holy. And when the Me Too movement happened, it was all virtue signaling by women who were complicit. And complacent, that's a very accurate Freudian slip. They were complacent. Because it's like, maybe that's not what it was. It wasn't complicity, it was complacency. Because it's like, what do you do? What are you going to do? Meryl Streep probably saw women being escorted up to Harvey Weinstein's hotel room in the corner of her eye all the fucking time. And because, 30 years before, she was bitch slapped by what's-his-face? Sorry, Dustin Hoffman. And no one gave a shit. Everyone was just like, oh, well, he's trying to get a good scene, and you got an Oscar, so shut the fuck up, bitch. And Meryl Streep accepted her Oscar, accepted her abuse, and saw it as normal. That shit's not normal. It's not normal for an actor to go up and slap a woman on set. But anyways, I feel like the Me Too movement became about protecting women who are complicit as opposed to acknowledging victims and assuring that it's never going to happen again. And it's still fucking happening. There are women on the ground still trying, who are still auditioning, who still have to deal with perverted fucking producers. And if someone has the will to abuse and they're a creative person, which artists are, they'll figure it out. They'll find a way. And so what did we do? I was sexually assaulted by a guy who came onto my podcast and talked to me about abuse with me. And I shared my abuse with this man. I shared my experiences of abuse with this man. I had a PTSD episode in front of this man. I almost had I almost had a PTSD moment with this man. And this man was there for me, and he was comforting, and he was kind, and he was calm, and he made me feel better. And then the next time I saw him alone in my apartment, he abused me. So again, if somebody has the will to abuse somebody, they will. They will do it. So I don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do. And but abuse is not normal. It's never normal. If you are being abused and you are telling yourself all of the things you need to tell yourself to make the abuse normal, stop. Like, stop. Don't do that to yourself. And, you know, Britney Spears has that great quote where she's like, I never asked to be a role model. And I think that's very wise. Never ask to be a role model, because if you're a role model, that's why I don't call myself a feminist, because I think if you call yourself a feminist, you're saying you're a role model, and you're a role model for women, and I'm not. I smoke cigarettes, and I smoke weed sometimes, and I try really hard not to. I drink, and I work as an exotic dancer, and I'm not a role model. But I'm a real person who's had very real experiences, and I want to do everything within my power and ability to take every man or woman who has the will to abuse, especially other women. I want them gone, and I want them dead, and I want them to fucking pay. Because the world is paying for it. You are, whether you realize it or not. There are movies that are not being written, directed, and produced because the women who would write, direct, and produce them are raped and are gone and are in the dirt, fucking up their lives. There are women who are not going to audition because they got sexually harassed by a casting director or a producer or whoever. There are women who are not going to go to open mics because they're getting sexually harassed at open mics, and they're not going to, I mean, and this shit is happening, and this shit is very real, and this shit affects women in a fucked up way that is taking women out of the picture. And that needs to not happen. Anyways, I think that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening. I hope this vlog finds you well, and I hope that if you are a victim of domestic violence, sexual assault, or have been, if you're a victim, you are believed. And but isn't that kind of, like, that's sort of a strange thing to say. It's like very odd phrasing, believe victims. Of course believe victims. Like, who isn't believing victims? But the problem is, believe women when they say that there are victims when there's, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I wish I knew. It all seems pretty hopeless. But anyways, I'm just gonna end this now. Have a lovely night or day, or whenever you're watching this. It's nighttime. When I'm recording this right now, it's about 12:30 at night. God, you know why I'm not a role model? I'm going to tell you about one of the worst things I've ever done. This is actually kind of funny. My mom, I was helping her out with Girl Scouts, and I think I was about 18, 19, and I was, and my mom, I was, the older brownies, or Girl Scouts, or whatever, the ones that were like in junior high, I was in charge of them. And so around nighttime, because the other girls would go to bed early, and so these girls got to stay up late, and then so I just and so we watched The Other Boy and Girl, and we talked, and we had a great time, and it was so fun, and I felt like a role model. But I had this boyfriend at the time who was a bartender, and older. I thought he was really smart. Yes, he's really smart. He's like a biologist in Oregon right now or whatever. And I remember like actually like whenever he would bartend, I would run into the bar and say hi to him, and then he'd be like, get out of here and stuff, and I would leave, and it was fun. And but when these girls went to bed, I was in the nursery, and I was watching TV, and I was watching another movie, and he came over, and I sucked his dick. I gave him a blowjob in the nursery at a church, and I did it because I hated my mother. At the time, I had a lot of anger and resentment towards her, and I desecrated the house of God because I hated my mother. Anyways, that's the worst thing. It was one of the worst things I've ever done. And I'm not a role model, and I'm not a feminist, but I really love women, and I really and that night where I felt like a role model for those girls before I fucked up and did something wrong, was one of the best nights of my life, and I really enjoyed that feeling, and I get that from doing this podcast, and so I just I'm so grateful for this podcast that I can feel like a role model, even if I'm not one. So just a disclaimer: I'm not a role model, and I'm not a feminist, but I really hope this podcast is serving women in some way. Well, have a nice night. Bye.